Hello and welcome to round 1 of Season 7 for this wonderful series we call Endurance for Amateurs. Now tonight we have one of our biggest fields ever of almost 48 cars. 43 of them have set a time so far in this qualifying session. And of course, this season comes with the introduction of the LMP2 class on top of those tried and true GTD Pro classes. I'm joined in the booth tonight by my co-host Zach Purcell. How are you doing, Zach?
I'm doing great. This is it's fun. We're doing the historic Le Mans track, so there's going to be no bus stops on that extremely long Mulsanne Straight. And then we actually have 50 cars. I'm looking at the list now, which I do believe is the highest ever. I could be wrong, but 50 is ludicrous.
That is quite the number we have tonight. I don't think I've ever seen that many cars outside of a special event, maybe Spa or Sebring.
Yeah, I think I've only had it happen in like Lotus 49s where they have like a max grid size of 60 something, and it's usually just a single split. So sometimes you get huge fields with that, but yeah, other than specials, I have not encountered a 50 plus field like this.
It's going to be impressive, and we're going to see how these guys really do when put to the test. Now, this season of E4A is sponsored by, you'll see it up in the corner in just a moment, by AlienAwards.net. So they're going to be providing all of our race trophies this season for the class champions and also the overall points champion. So big shout out to them.
Yeah, owned by Roger Schenk, who is participating in the LMP2 class this season. So we really appreciate that, and he's been sponsoring stuff in the league for quite a while now.
Yes, a very core member of the Pony Express saga, and very thankful to have him on board as the title sponsor.
Yeah, we've had pretty active practice. There were Previous to this, we had a couple practice races using the LMP2 just so that people were getting comfortable with them, and they went pretty well. There's certainly a massive gap in pace between the two, something like 16 plus seconds, but honestly, the speed difference, once it gets to a high enough amount, it actually can kind of make it a little bit safer that you're not hanging around each other too long. The LMP2s will just be able to fly around the GTDs. So hopefully we don't have any major incidents between the class. I wouldn't be shocked if there was just a couple growing pains, especially with a field of 50. But I'm expecting a pretty clean race, especially on a huge track like this.
Yeah, and something to mention about huge tracks brings huge gaps in time. And Paul Boyle only just took back that pole position, but Keith Roycroft, an amateur driver, was actually on overall pole for the GTD class as a whole. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we never had that happen last season a single time, although Keith and Jeff McDonald were two drivers that certainly put themselves up pretty high. I remember Fuji was one where I think they were both in the top 6 combined between the two classes. So pretty impressive outing there. Keith Roycroft really fast in practice as well, and he still has a half-second gap on Christopher Craig behind.
Yeah, both of those drivers doing pretty well, as Christopher Craig has a half-second behind him as well. So very exciting stuff here tonight, and I'm excited to go racing once again after the month-long break that we took.
Yeah, and another thing also that I think people may not know, some details that have happened between the two seasons, two major things. So first off, you're seeing that we do not have the invasion of the Porsches anymore with GTD. So the balance of the cars has been redone. It's a lot more even across the board, although you do see a lot of Ferraris up there for sure, but we're seeing representatives from all different, and we got Ford there in third place in GTD Pro. And then secondly, the GT3 cars, which LMP2's already did, but the GT3 cars now change tires at the same time as doing fuel. So fuel strategy is still big. Tire strategy, it's not so much deciding whether to take tires, it's just how well you're going to treat them, because the tire degradation has also been increased.
Yes, it has. Now, back at Spa 24 Hours, our team ran 3 stints. That's about 3 hours of driving on one set of tires. iRacing says, I have not tested this personally, iRacing says that you'll get maximum of 1 hour of driving on a set of GT3 tires. So, it's definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, in our practices and stuff, we're doing like a 30-minute stint. I mean, 30 minutes, you're down to like 70, 60%. Like, you have to be really careful with the tires. You're hitting that point where you hit that wall and your pace really starts to drop off. So it may seem like, oh, it's such a no-brainer, take tires, but you have to make it to that point. That's actually how much the degradation has increased.
Yeah, it is definitely tricky, so I'm really excited to watch this strategy play out.
And furthermore, just another little clarification. So this is a shorter season, 9-race season, so that we can kind of try to match up with the officials' schedules, and only 2 drops because of that. So less bad races to drop off your record here.
Yeah, so you'll have to make the races, and then you'll also have to make sure you stay clean through them. Now, this is our GTD Pro Champion last season, Terry Carter Jr. I think we'll get just about 1 more lap on board with him, so let's take a ride through the LMP2 eyes.
Yeah, this will be.
Oh,
yep.
Good old commentator's curse.
A little fast there, yep.
So,
because of the open qual, he'll have plenty of time if he wants to get this lap restarted.
All right. So, anyways, Tyler Langenberg this time, not Terry Calgar Jr. Let's take a ride with him instead.
Yep. So he's going to be coming up through the final, which is the Ford, the Ford chicanes. And with the LMP2s, it's going to hug these turns a lot better. Despite the fact that it's faster, it's still going to hang in a lot easier.
It definitely
So you just got to be really careful coming into the Dunlop chicane here. You're going to see a lot of spins up here, especially with the LMP2. It's so flat that these little bumps in here, especially hitting those curbs, can unsettle it, and you might see them lose it through there.
All right, he's getting a little blinky. Anyways,
hopefully we have no connection issues.
Hey,
right here, yeah, coming up to Terre Rouge, incredibly important now because of the fact that there's no chicanes. Going down the straight is going to be where
and you got to slow down.
Comes from.
It's like he got to slow down on this particular lap. But yes, I think, does this beat Fuji for the longest straight with no chicanes?
Yeah, no, it's way longer than Fuji. It's not even close. Yeah. I mean, it's probably comparable to the straight in Nürburgring, I would think.
Yes, that would make a lot of sense. So they're on the throttle for quite a long time here, so we'll probably see a considerable less fuel range for these cars here tonight.
Yeah, they are higher fuel totals than they will be for most of the races. So this, and then even crazier than historic Le Mans, we're doing combined Monza later. But that will also be higher fuel totals because, again, you'll just be like burning through it down these long straights.
Yeah, you'll see just... There we go. Oh, makes it through. And the fuel that we have on board... the LMP2s have 100% fuel, and the GT3 cars usually have 50%, but the exception has been made for tracks like this, so they'll have 75% full fuel capacity.
Yeah, LMP2, their fuel, 100% fuel tank, I mean, it's usually only like 45, 50 minutes, something like that. So dropping it would have just made them too little. So unlike the GT3s, which have a much larger fuel tank than these, it's actually already pretty short.
It definitely is. So actually, maybe we'll see LMP2 and GT3 pitting around the same time, because about 75% of that 1 hour would be about 45 minutes in the GTD cars. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll probably be somewhat similar. But the one thing I'm thinking of is, it'll probably be a splash and dash for the GT3s at the end. And because of that, and because of the fact that you can take tires when you fuel up, it may actually be beneficial to pit really early and just make 3 equal length stints, where you can get in and actually get at least 2 of your tires changed without wasting any time. Versus on a splash and dash, you can't take any tires. There's no time to do that without just sitting still in your stall.
That might be a very good strategy. We'll have to see if anybody else has thought of that one. Maybe somebody's watching the stream. But here we are. We have the checkered flag flying here on our qualifying session. And not too long to go until we have 43 cars that have set a qualifying time and 50 registered to the session.
It's looking like no one's going to bring the challenge to Tyler Langenberg there for pole on LMP2. So looks like he's going to bring home first pole of the season for the first season that we're going to have the LMP2 for the entirety.
Yes, he is, and Paul Boyle manages to keep Keith Roycroft away from that pole position. Very well done by him to ensure.
And as you mentioned, Keith is second overall for the GT3s.
Yeah, so very good performance. We only have 7 pros here tonight, so we'll hopefully see a bit more pro GTD cars later in the season, but a lot of those pros have gone up and have joined the ranks of the LMP2 cars.
It's really, we just have too many AMs. So we've got so there's 14 LMP2s and there's 7 GTD pros. So I mean that means that there's basically 30 GTD AMs in the field. It's gonna be a feat to get top 10.
Yeah, we have 22 GTD AMs with a time set. So.
And a good number that have not yet. Oh, and actually, it looks like we got Tony Watson actually in the session. He was thinking he wasn't going to make it, but he may be here for the race.
He is here now. Looks like everybody has set their time. So our session is going to end, and then we're going to head into lap 1 out of many in this season 7.
Got some names to read too.
Oh yes,
Marcus
we do.
is still on a track. Is he on a timed lap?
It says for me he is on a 8-minute lap. 8-minute, yeah, lap. So there he is. I'm not sure if he's on a timed lap or not. He's set. This will be his 10th lap in qualifying.
Yeah, I guess he is. I think he may have gone off track and stopped for a second, but the game lets you finish. I'm trying to see. I don't know why it would be 8 minutes. But
accelerated time, maybe, I don't know.
I guess he's oh yeah, correct. Yeah, the accelerated time after the session ends. So he's got 2 minutes to actually finish the lap before the qualifying ends, which he can do. But he's definitely last.
Yes. All right. So 100 minutes of racing. We've got that 40-minute qualifying that we are in currently, and a fixed setup between all of the cars. So no setup advantages here tonight. Track temperature.
Chilly track temps too, yeah.
Our track temperature here is 77 degrees, and the air temp 71. So a lot colder than we saw here last season. And yeah. It's going to be an exciting race.
Marcus must have just barely made that flag. No one else is. This is. But he definitely has some time that he can make up. As he's had a couple slow sectors here, but currently in 13th in the LMP2 class. So if he has a good last sector here, he might be able to pop up a couple spots.
Yeah, he's got those 3 yellow sectors, so no pressure, Marcus. Only everybody is watching you.
Ooh, that was a little slide there. These things have more downforce, but it doesn't mean they're totally planted. These still move a lot.
It's no W12.
Oh, and he
into
goes
the
into the pit.
He made everybody
Wasting
wait just
all
so
our
he could
time.
practice. All right, fair enough.
It's good to practice the pit entry. It's a tough one. I'll give him that.
That's the Zach Nurnberger special there. All right. So, we have our grid sequence that should be starting momentarily, and we can take a look at how everybody's stacked up in qualifying. But until then, we'll enjoy some scenic views. Here we go. So, Tyler Langenberg takes the first pole of the season in LMP2, followed by Nick Terrell and then Terry Cowger Jr. Paul Wildridge, a new name for E4A, followed by Owen McLaughlin, another new name, and then Paul Skip, Don McCloy, Adrian Garcia Vajil, Chris Richards, Chris Newby, reigning GTD AM champ, Andrew Neri, and then Zach Nurnberger.
Yeah, following those guys, we have Marcus Osborne, Roger Shank, Paul Boyle getting pole there for GTD Pro. I know he's got some poles in O4A, but that might be his first E4A pole. Keith Roycroft, not his first pole there for GTDM. Nicholas Paletti, Christopher Craig, Richard Curry, Jonathan Webb, new name, Steve Kube, Josh Doty, Aaron Claybaugh, and Antoine DeCash.
All right, following them, we have no shortage of names here tonight. Jeff McDonald, Travis Bell, Daniel Hingley, Michael De La Sala, Eric Jacobs, Rick Hughes, Daniel Real, James Kingsbury, Mark Dillon Jr., Craig Willis, Ryan Jeevan, Donovan Johnston.
And continuing, we have Daniel Barnett, Dustin Dos Weiss, John Kelly, Leonardo Elijah, Dan Coleman, Dave Ferrara, Miguel McNamara, Kenneth Stanley, Daniel Sykes, Atticus Middleton, Richard Hurst, and David Schmidt.
All right, and finally, Tony Watson and Forrest Sleek end that grid out. So, as we take a look here, there are a fair amount of cars lining up here to go racing tonight, and I am super excited.
Yeah, the no passing rule is the Dunlop chicane, so the left-right that goes under the big Dunlop sign is going to be single file through there, and then after that they can race. But there still is a lap one rule. If you cause any incident that gives somebody incident points or damage, then you will be starting from the back of the field next race if it's your fault.
All right. It's enough playing with the chopper cam. All right. So, lots of racing coming up ahead of us, and I am very excited indeed. That's a lot of cars, and that's only the LMP2s right there.
Yeah, I know. The GT3s will give a little bit of a gap, but the guys in the back of the field have still not even started going yet.
This is just
It's a while to the green flag.
This is the magnitude here of cars. Quite a field we have tonight. Wow. Looks like 45 cars have taken to the grid.
Yep, I'm seeing a few. Unfortunately, with Tony Watson, I see they made it into the race, but we'll see him later in the season for sure.
For sure. He's always providing us with some great racing, so I'm excited to see him later on. But right now, I'm excited to watch this. This is a lot of drivers. Ryan Jeevan, that makes it 46, is going to start from the pit lane. Oh boy.
Getting to the green soon.
So much suspense. A month of no racing has built up to this point here tonight, and I am very, very excited. We've got Rhonda, we've got Will in the chat, we've got Patrick Ripley, and Static Drop as well, watching from home. Good to see you guys out here, and can't wait to watch this. The pace car goes off. Tyler Langenberg now controls the field, where they will all go on that green flag. So, we've got
back there right now.
47 cars now here tonight, and Tyler Langenberg gets the green flag to lead them all away. Terry Cowger Jr. behind in third. That's Nick Terrell, who can't pass until after the Dunlop chicane, but he is sizing up that move already.
That's Nick Terrell there. He's able to actually run now in the pros. He dropped his I rating a little bit, so no longer a legend in the pro now.
Yes, and we also raised our R rating cap. But very smoothly started in the first few areas here. We've got
No issues for the LMP2 class.
I mean, this is only turn 1 for the GTDs back there now. And a few people that started from the pits. So here we are. The LMP cars are going to have a fun draft battle going down this long straight. And we've got a few teammates, it looks like, here with the same livery. So excited to...
Daniel Sykes and Atticus Middleton involved in something at the back there, the GTD AM field.
All right, we'll take a look at that in just a second. But right now, we're going to focus on this. Look how close these guys are. Oh, you can see them shaking the camera as they drive by. They are quite fast.
Yeah, you want to get behind. You don't want to be side by side too much. You're just going to be wasting pace. Might as well take the draft.
Yes, and save that fuel for later, because there will be a battle.
Look at that. Look how much speed Chris Newby has on Adrian Vihil there, sailing by him.
Yeah, there are, I mean, it's side by side all over the field. I don't know where to look. We are just seeing action following action following action. We got side by side here. Side by side here. That's Zach Nurnberger on Marcus Osborne getting the move done. And then look, another line of prototype cars. There are so many cars out on track right now. And a lot of action.
All the top 7 in the same positions that they were in. Chris Newby's up 2 from the start of the lap. Healed down 2, but everyone else holding position for LMP2.
Yeah, and that is Keith Roycroft going side by side with Nick Paletti, who makes it up into second. And he'll now follow his teammate Paul Boyle and try to catch up with him. Side by side still is Craig Willis, and that is Mark Dillon Jr., I believe, in the Mercedes. Interesting enough.
Mercedes for him.
I don't think I've ever seen him in the Mercedes. He's usually the Ferrari, tried and true, but not tonight. All over the field, still battling. Keith Roycroft trying to get it back on Nick Paletti, but can't do it. And now he's under attack under... Christopher Craig can't do it, but...
If that weren't lap 1, I think he would have gone for it.
He may have, so we'll have to watch those two there. Remember, anybody that does cause an incident on this lap 1 will start with an end-of-line penalty at the next race. Oh, and I hear... Oh, yes, I do hear some scuffling here. What happened with the pair? Loses it into the wall.
Right after he pulled away from that.
Yeah, I heard some bang in there. And
luckily, no one else involved in that. But yeah, Indianapolis on cold tires is a pretty dangerous turn. You got to give it a lot of respect.
You do indeed. Wow, there's a lot of cars here. All right.
Yeah, so some impressive jumps. We got David Schmidt. He's up 6 already. Kenneth Stanley up 5, both in the GTD AM class. For the LMP2s, again, not much position changes. GTD Pro the same as well. But a couple guys who have had some incidents early. Daniel Hingley's down 10, for example.
Yeah, there are some big losers here tonight. Who else do we have? Looks like Tyler Langenberg. What happened with them? Are they just showing incorrectly?
Yeah, I think his blinking is messing up your overlays there. He's there up in front. Nick Terrell has actually fallen off a good amount of way. He's 1.3 seconds back, and they're on the straight. He's getting some draft for sure, but it's not as powerful as if he was right on the back of him.
Ah, all right. Well,
a couple teammates there we're seeing working together.
Yeah,
Maybe.
We have Owen McLaughlin and
yes,
teammate of, is that Josh?
It's Paul Wildridge and Noah McLaughlin, and then they have another teammate just a few spots behind them, and Chris Richards. There's a slowdown actually on the Mulsanne straight.
All right, so we have quite the race brewing, and we're only 5 minutes in. Look at the bump drafting between Marcus Osborne and Zach.
They're maximizing maximizing draft here. That's no question about that.
I know Zach was talking about that earlier. I think that's something he's notorious for. He
Oh,
always
Paul
has to
Skip
bump draft.
down into the Molzon hairpin. He's made his way past both of those teammates. That was an impressive weave through the field there. Tom McCloy now right behind, trying to hopefully he can do the same is what he's thinking here.
Let's see if we take a look at that really nice move, as you say. He's in the middle of the two. Now he's ahead of the 90 car, and the 77 is an easy picking just for him. I like his neon blue wheels there.
LP2 is tough on the brakes. It's that's probably the hardest part about the car, and so when you see a move like that, it's extra impressive in that car.
It definitely is. Uh-oh, I see somebody sideways on the straight, and that is not what you want to be. You do not want to be sideways in a straight line. That is some contact between that Ford there.
Antoine DeCash, yeah.
Antoine DeCash gets the rough side of that stick and has some problems. Tyler Langenberg, who is the leader of this race, is displaying as down in 10th. But he is leading.
Yeah, that was a pretty spectacular crash there. Also, the new damage model in the cars. Forgot to mention that as well. So, interested to see how that affects these cars with damage. Obviously, you can see a much more exciting product for the broadcast, but it also affects the driving.
It definitely does. These cars are completely remodeled, and they do not drive the same. So, very, very fun to watch.
Well, on that lap, Terry Kiger Jr. made his way around Nick Terrell, a move that we missed there, and Paul Skip, as we saw, up 2 spots. So those are the primary moves we've seen at the top of the field there in LMP2. We still have Paul Boyle leading GTD Pro, and Paletti and his teammate, actually all 3 Doge Squad teammates there as the top 3. And Christopher Craig has made his way around Keith Roycroft, who's now got a 4-second gap to him in GTD AM.
All right. So side by side, that's Michael Della Sala and a new Mercedes. That is Mr. Hughes, Rick Hughes, in that very, very nice liveried American flag Mercedes. And behind them is James Kingsbury, trying to capitalize on any mistake that they make. Very, very shiny from Michael Della Sala. That must be the new clear coat. I really like that. I don't think he was that shiny last season.
Kingsbury there in the Lamborghini, a car that we almost never saw.
That's Eric Jacobs and Mark Dillon Jr. Getting a little rubbing going. And we'll see here what happened to him. Eric Jacobs goes sideways and comes into contact with Mark Dillon Jr. Luckily, Mark does not have any problems.
Yeah, Mark lucky to escape that one because his life flashed before his eyes right there.
I'm sure it does. So now we've lost Antoine DeCash, Craig Willis, and Tony Watson from the pro class, which means only 5 of them will be classified here tonight.
Yeah, good looking for those Doge Squad boys. They're gonna hope to occupy the entire podium.
Yeah.
Oh wow, look at that.
There is not a lot that they can do to mess that up. There's only 2 other cars. Oh, and off goes. That is Paul Wildridge. Paul Wildridge going off, coming to the end of that pack. That's not where you want to be.
Yeah, that's so many spots lost with just a minor mistake.
Yeah, they are running just so tight. Ooh, Craig Willis is back. All right. That's the Lamborghini there of Josh Doty, following Steve Coubet and the beautiful. Oh, Travis Bell actually running the same livery as Rick Hughes, I believe.
Just trying to confuse us there. Look at that. Oh man, is that a Mark Dillon Jr. on the back of Hughes there?
That is. They are rather close there, going into the second chicane area, but of course they'll just go right through it. This is Chris Richards. Locking it up.
Oh yeah, just got a little spooked by Ryder Shank in front of him there, but looks like he probably got away with no damage.
All right, so Rick Hughes used that slipstream, or no, He stayed in front the whole time. So Rick Hughes keeping it ahead.
Use the bump draft though.
He did use a bump draft. And
I mean, if you don't watch any, oval racing, you get a massive boost in speed when someone bump drafts you. It's a very effective strategy.
the only thing these guys have to watch out for is those carbon splitters up front. Will break off and they'll lose aero performance if you're not too gentle with it.
Speaking of things to watch out for, these LMP2s are now coming up on some of the GTDs that had some early incidents near the back of the field. So got guys like Terry Calgary Jr. You can see there. He's got Donovan Johnson in front. So this becomes a really big element of skill that goes beyond just driving the car, because it's difficult to make your way through lapped traffic quickly and safely.
Yeah, and these cars, these LMP cars, are about 20 seconds a lap faster. As you'll see up here at the top, we've got a 322 from LMP, and we've got a 343 from GTD Pro. So that's a considerable pace difference there, so that the closing speed is going to be very high.
Nick Terrell had the option to pass, but he knows that they've both fallen off quite a lot from Tyler Langenberg, and he's going to work together with him to push Terry down the straight. Hopefully both of them catch up to Tyler, who currently, doesn't have any benefit from slipstream or anybody pushing him. So I think we'll see the gap actually drop quite a lot down the straight.
I think so.
We're already seeing it. You can see it melt down there from Calgary to Langenberg.
Yeah, they're gaining a lot of time just by doing that one little simple bump draft there, and I just hope they don't damage any of the aero parts of their car. Further down the pack, not a lot of spreading out between these prototypes.
Skip and Veal very close to each other coming in that hard braking zone at the end of the straight.
They are
made it through all right.
They are very, very close up here. Very impressive how tight they are running here tonight. And I like that Adrian always has his Spain colors on his car. Maybe orange, not red, but close enough.
It's a good looking one. Having to remember all these liveries. Of course, with the new LMP2, it's a lot of cars we haven't seen before, so we're getting there on being able to pick them up on site.
Yeah, that's Paul Skip with, is that a Hoonigan on the rear wing?
Yes, it is.
So he's got the Hoonigan livery, of course.
In blocks, recent passing.
Yes. Rest in peace to him. He very, very talented driver in many categories. All right.
Looking at this field, we've got a couple guys. Shout out some early gainers. Daniel Real there and Mark Dillon Jr. Next to each other on track right now, and they've both made up 5 and 6 places respectively. Which, other than the guys at the back of the field who have kind of benefited from some crash outs, has been the best charges through the field so far. Yeah.
So here is our
wow
reigning pro champ or AM champion. Just gets taken out there, it seems.
Yeah, they got some fast repairs. I'm surprised there isn't worse damage, but yeah, it's just they came up on a slower car, one of the GTD Pros or GTDs, and unfortunately there's just some miscommunication. Generally the LMP2s want the GTDs to just hold their racing line and the LMPs go around. Dan was kind of trying to be a little nice, but it ended up actually kind of causing that incident there.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, with the amateur league, we always have guys that are new to this multi-class racing, so we get some tricky incidents, but I think it's a good learning experience.
Yeah, we actually have the Christopher Craig and Keith Roycroft battle. It's closed up quite a lot for that GTD AM field. On track right now.
Caught up a little bit there on the the curb and had a weird spin, but Richard Curry, so Richard Curry and Daniel Hingley both have the same livery as well. Lots of duplicates here tonight. They are really trying to throw us off.
Luckily, those LMP2 teammates that we mentioned before, they all have the one difference. They have different colored mirrors. Although, it'll take a bit for me to memorize all those. But Owen with the blue mirrors, Paul with the black, and then Chris Richards with the white.
Yeah, that'll be something to get the hang of. I don't know. But
just as an update, by the way, on what we were just talking about last lap, now that they've had a second straight to do some bump drafting, it's down to 2.6 seconds for the lead between Langenberg and Cowger, as Cowger and Terrell have worked together to catch up, and it's succeeded so far.
Yeah, so they're doing pretty well for themselves there, as Terrell is still in that P3, but now we can see Tyler Langenberg just up the road, and see here, probably see him if we take a look here on the car. Well, maybe not through the windy bits, but he is up that road, and they are trying to chase him down. So we'll keep an eye on them for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, Tyler seems especially fast through these Porsche curves here. This last section, again, they had brought it down to 2.6 seconds, and he has now brought it back up to over 3. So really fast through that section. However, he just reached some lap traffic at a horrible time in the Ford curves.
Yeah, very, very, very unfortunate. But that's part of the multi-class racing experience, and you got to deal with it.
We saw it happen a couple times between the AM and Pro classes last season, but I mean, you're gonna have it multiple times per lap, so it's just about minimizing mistakes and minimizing time loss.
Precisely, and these pros, that's something they're pretty good at, as they do this quite often, and they're considered pros, so they know what they're doing, and they'll hang it out. Now that is,
we're looking at I just wanted to bring attention to it's slightly different rules for the bonus points for incidents this season. You get 4 points if you have 0, 3 points if you have between 1 and 5, and 2 points between 6 and 10. However, for this race, Le Mans is extremely easy to avoid incidents. You get slowdowns, you get a lot of them. You get at the Ford curbs, you get it at Tertre Rouge, at the Mulsanne hairpin, but you almost never get an off track here. So the only incidents that people are going to get are probably just from collisions.
Yes. Now our out graphic here is, because there's so many cars on track, it seems like the PC is not drawing them all to try to prevent frame loss. So actually, I should have all cars drawn, but the out graphic for really this means nothing unless they're in last, like Antoine Decache and Tony Watson. That means they have retired from the race. But like the good old LMP2 drivers that say out, they're still in the race.
Very surprising to see. Again, keep bringing attention to it, that Terrell and Cowger working together. They did it down that straight again, and actually at where they are right now, it is a little bit further back than they were last lap. So Tyler putting in really impressive lap times up there to alone be able to hold them off. They're catching up for sure. Yeah,
but he's showing why I believe he was runner-up in the championship last season. He has that skill, and maybe Terry not being in the Porsche, maybe he'll get the edge out on him this season.
Yeah, it was interesting to come into this season because the GT3 cars are very different than the prototypes. And so we knew that Terry and Tyler were the best two drivers for GT3 last year. And it was going to be, is that going to translate to these LMP2s? Or are we going to see some, third character dominate everybody? But certainly, and obviously Nick Terrell's up there, but those two guys are still just as strong as they were in GT3s as they are here in the prototypes.
Yeah, they are fast no matter what you put them in. They could probably beat me in a GT3 if they were driving the good old Kia. So they're not too slow. Now somebody has had an issue with their upshift paddle, Salt E Croc. I do not remember who that is in iRacing, but the upshift paddle broke off in his hand. So not a good start for him to the season.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
I remember he said it a few times in chat. I just can't recall.
I know. I apologize to Salty Croc, but it's can't remember who that is. But with a couple drops this season, it's all right to swallow that, but I hate to use it on your first race.
Yeah, it's never something you want, but can't. It's Daniel Barnett.
Oh yes.
So
yeah, and he's out of the race there. So
that's
a shame on that. I'm certain that he would have been able to do better than obviously where he's going to have to finish now.
But that's the cruel. That's endurance racing for you. Anything can go wrong. I mean, that's any racing, but endurance racing for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at this LMP2 field. It does seem like, unfortunately, that damage that Newbie got to the right rear is affecting him quite heavily. His last lap was a 329. The guys in front of him were doing 324s, 325. So it looks like, even though it did look like maybe minor contact, it's just it's a really bad spot for the car, and it must not be driving very well.
Yeah, usually these, I mean, we've had the update, but usually the LMP2 cars are pretty indestructible. They're, well, not indestructible, but I put it head first into the barrier at Sebring, and it was alright. No optionals.
It's with these cars, you get both, where you feel like you just crashed out the car and then there's nothing, and then you just tap the wall slightly, and then they say your steering's bent and you need to, you have a black and orange flag. So at least before, it was very all over the place with how it acted.
Yeah, but Chris Richards,
look at that,
up the inside of Roger Shank, and now I had a Newbie with his damage. So Chris Richards, great double overtake there, and sure, he's gonna hold it into the corner. Easy peasy, nicely done. Oh,
yeah, it feels good when you can do it then.
I just saw some locking up there. Looks like everybody survived though. Yes, everybody is all right. This is Donovan Johnston coming into the final sector. Oh, just way too much speed, and he ends up in the dirt.
Yeah, he just bailed. That's not too much loss there. Yeah, these LMP2s don't have ABS, so very easy to lock the brakes. They do have traction control, which is pretty heavy traction control, but no ABS for them.
Yes, they. I can only remember when IMSA went to Spa, and every single time I'd accelerate out of that good old bus stop chicane, I'd hear with the traction control. Yeah.
Yeah. Horrible sound, demoralizing. Oh, Diamond Johnson into the wall there after the Porsche curves. He's having to. Looks like it's not horrible damage, but he's having to wait here. It looks like I think he towed. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been off track for about a minute total before he finally went. But there he goes. It doesn't look like.
Oh, so that's what we saw earlier, where it looked like he bailed and was okay, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll take a closer look there. It looks like he went off track, came back on track for just a brief second.
I almost saved it. It was very close, and then it just snapped on him. That's a bummer. So after that tow, luckily he was close to the pits, but that's gonna be a lot of lost time.
It definitely is. Well, he'll have that fast repair, luckily, to kind of save him. But
Keith Roycroft and Christopher Craig there fighting pretty hard for that GTD AM spot right now. They don't really have anyone that close to them. They got Curry there in third place, 4 seconds back from them, but really impressive showing from both these two guys. Two guys who we thought would be contenders for GTD AM coming into the season. No question about that.
Yeah, once Christopher Newby got promoted to pro, that left a hole
huge hole
in the GTD AM. So Keith Roycroft won a few races. Christopher Craig won a few races, and
Craig didn't get any wins.
Oh, he did.
He did finish third, just behind John Kelly, or James Foreman finished. Sorry, Christopher Craig was in the top 6 though, but no, he didn't get any wins, which kind of Kelly or not Kelly, Newby kind of stole all the wins for the season for the most part. But Craig was one of the most consistent drivers throughout the whole season. Never had a bad race.
Yes, I remember that now. But Craig's a name, Roycroft's a name. McDonald and Kelly are names. We haven't seen
Foreman
them.
is not here.
Yes, James Foreman is another name. So I think we'll have a pretty exciting battle at the top towards the end of this season. And I mean, even at every race, if they're all here. Tonight we have Craig and Roycroft, and Kelly is way down the order, down in 19th. But it'll be fun.
Yeah, it's wild to, Mark Dillon Jr., who didn't qualify crazy far back. He's made up 7 spots, and he's still in 7th place for the class. So that just goes to show how many people we have in this field, and you can make up a lot of spots and still maybe not be quite where you want. But like I said, a top 10 with this gigantic GTD AM class is still impressive.
Yeah, how about Daniel Sykes, who is returning to racing with us for the first time in a while. He is up 11 places, and he's still 14th in class. He's up 11 places in class as well.
Yeah, he started 45th, so didn't have the qualifying that he wanted, probably, but has made up quite a lot of spots in this race. Really clean race, one where you have to do that to survive, and so some people have fallen behind, but he's made it through and has a fairly clean car on him.
Yes, he does, and we're only 9 laps in, but we are almost 30 minutes into the race. That just goes to show how long this track is. Almost 8.5, 9 miles long, and the cars are still close to each other.
Terry Calgary earned himself a slowdown through those 4 chicanes and is now falling back behind Terrell, but I would assume that now that he's burnt it off, they're going to try working together again, because they've actually lost more time on Langenberg. Langenberg is somehow pulling pace out of nowhere when these 2 guys behind are working together so hard. So I don't know how he's doing it. Partly is probably really good job making his way through traffic, but he's just putting in really fast laps as well.
Yeah, we could take a look at the last lap time of every driver here. And Tyler Langenberg with a 3:24.4. And then Terry Kegger Jr. actually had a 3:23.2.
Well, he had to, he got a slowdown because he cut the chicane a little bit. So he had a 3:23, but he was punished for that. So.
And Paul Boyle as well, setting his fastest lap of the GTD Pro on his last lap with a 3:41.8.
Yeah, there's no one close to him in the GTD Pro field right now. I mean, he's got his 2 teammates behind him in position, but he's 13 seconds ahead. So, and even Christopher Craig, who's actually 2nd overall, still has quite a big gap back to him, 11 seconds.
Yeah, and just a quick note, Keith Roycroft is 0.2 faster than Paul Boyle in terms of best lap time. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's another impressive stat there. It seems like Paul's put in, obviously to have that much of a gap in front, has been putting in the fast laps and just ridiculously consistent. But Roycroft has always had that capability of blazing pace.
And that was also pretty impressive. Not impressive, but interesting. Nick Terrell and Terry Kegger Jr. doing a organized swap there. Seems like they're more comfortable with Terry in front.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the top speed, them doing that bump drafting is 7 kph faster than Tyler Langenberg's able to do on his own. So Langenberg, highest speed so far this race, 3:27. Calgary Jr. and Nick Terrell both 3:34. So that's a pretty marked improvement. That's where they're getting the time, but Tyler's just faster through the rest of the track and is preventing them from actually catching up.
Yeah, these are the top speeds of the last lap. Terrell, who's behind Terry, given that bump draft, went 205 compared to Tyler Langenberg's 203. And also, oh, it's gone now, but Christopher Craig went 447, it said. But
looking at the stat there,
that's
Mark Dillon
McDonald.
Jr., though.
McDonald sideways. Let's take a look at what happened to him. He's still running the Porsche after the good old Porsche for amateurs.
In the Porsche curves right now.
Ooh,
It's
just
too wide.
too much. And the car snaps back at him. And
Very close to those guys behind. Luckily, didn't have to tow. He drove to the pits. He's currently entering now. But that's just one of those where you got to give up and accept that you're going off track. And, you know, he was trying to keep it on and ended up just steering too much.
Yep. And this new damage model, maybe it affects the driving, but I don't see a lot of actual damage on the cars.
Yeah, and it certainly depends on where you hit it. His bad enough that he received a. Well, he actually didn't get a meatball from that. He made his way into the pits anyway. Leonardo Elijah, a driver who did have a meatball, and he's in the pits right now getting that repaired.
All right, well, we'll set our sights here with Keith Roycroft, Christopher Craig, Aaron Claybaugh, and Nick Paletti. So 2 pro drivers, 2 AM drivers, and the battle for the lead is right here, and these pro drivers and the Ferraris are trying to mess it up. As we see Christopher Craig trying to not bump draft, but draft with Claybaugh there, try to get the edge out on Roycroft, but he just can't. Also, what is on Roycroft's win banner? What is that?
See.
Is that like a color palette for his paint?
Yeah, I don't think that's supposed to be there. I don't. It's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I was looking at that in practice. I have no idea if it's supposed to be there or not. I have a feeling it's similar to Jeff McDonald's grid that he left on his car last season.
Ah, yes, the good old wireframe. But he's since fixed that. The issue has been remedied, and it's all good now.
Yep, there's definitely some teamwork going on there, or not teamwork, but some agreed sportsmanship for Craig and Roycroft to let Claybaugh get by both of them and then just resume battling after that. I'm not sure. I wonder if Paletti had to slow down after Tertre Rouge because he was next to Claybaugh earlier and then is quite far back now and is having to make his way up to that pair.
That's Dustin Dos Valles. Now, one interesting thing to note here, 216 miles per hour by Calgary and Terrell, 207 by Langenberg. That is bump drafting at its finest.
Yeah, that's where you can really see the benefit. But they've brought what was at the line a 6.4 second gap down to 4.6.
Yeah, so that teamwork is definitely helping them, but Langenberg is just flying.
Yeah, Paul Skip right now has caught up to the back of Paul Wildridge. And Paul Wildridge has had a really, really impressive fastest lap. His fastest lap is a 3:22.5, which is right up there with Nick Terrell, Terry Calgary Jr., Tyler Langenberg. So
Is it
impressive on that.
pit lane time
Nick
already?
Terrell.
Wow. So only 34
Nick Terrell's going to
minutes
get a
in.
penalty for that. I don't think you're allowed to cross at that point. He came into the pits. I'm interested to see when he comes. He may have a stop and hold on that.
All right, well, it's pit lane time already, which surprises me. Usually these LMP2 cars go about 45 minutes, but 34 minutes in and they are in the pit lane. Along with GT3 cars as well.
Keep an eye on Terrell's. If he's getting a flag, he may have gotten away with it. I thought that crossing that pit entry line where he was not allowed, but looks like it is. So he got away with that one there. He's already getting the tires changed on it. But there was an incident there coming into the pit exit because Harry's there, Nick's there, and Steve Kube was on the outside. he didn't know they were coming into the pits, and actually Nick and Terry collided with each other and took Steve Kube out.
Interesting. So maybe we'll have to see a little bit of review there. My action screen is scrolling so fast with so many cars, I can't even begin to find that on my
Kube nearly
replay.
saved a full 360, but then barely went into the wall, and then his entire rear wing bent. But it's not a horrible time, I don't think, to pit for the GTDs, because this is just about a third of the way through the race. So he could just make this 3 equal length stints, and it'll be okay.
Well, I suppose we'll have to see. Interesting. I wonder if everybody was out of fuel, or if they are trying to do that splitting strategy.
It wouldn't surprise me especially if the LMPs were out of fuel, because I mean that's a lot of throttle that they. I know, like you said, they do go 45, but that's a lot of throttle they're using on this. A little bit different than what you have at Watkins Glen or something.
I suppose so. My reference point is coming from Spa, so I don't know. Anyways, we're moving on, and the pit cycles have happened. It doesn't look like, other than that incident you mentioned, there was a lot of controversy going on, and Paul Skip and Paul Wildridge actually coming out side by side down the straight. So that gap that was closing is now about non-existent.
Yeah, they're just kind of trading spots. Skip pulling ahead, now Wildridge pulling back ahead. The straight's so long you can have multiple drafting events where you pass.
Yeah, that's also a thing at Nürburgring, as you mentioned. The straight is comparable to that. I remember you pull out, you pass, and then you get past before the next one. Now this reminds me of Spa with the F1 cars where they go around the back markers. Don McCloy.
They're not even there.
Don McCloy has done a wonderful job to catch up to that little pack there too, down the straight. He's now about 7/10 behind Paul Wildridge.
So it looks like a couple guys were able to stick it out, go another lap. Aaron Claybaugh and Nick Paletti both were able to, and Josh Doty behind also in the pro class. And then I think that James Kingsbury for GTD AM has also been able to stretch another lap. So given how many people had to come in, that's impressive. It doesn't surprise me with Claybaugh and Paletti, because we saw those guys working together for quite a long time, and they're both pulling to the pits now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out later on with that extra lap. But it'll definitely be helpful to them. 11 seconds now is the gap from Tyler Langenberg to Terry Cagri Jr.
Wow.
They definitely lost some sort of time in the pits, or Tyler Langenberg underfueled or something. But
they didn't. That's what's the pit lane time for Langenberg was 1:06. Cowger 1:07. Terrell 1:06. So they didn't even. It's just Langenberg on these cold tires, pulling even more of a gap out. Really impressive racing so far.
yeah, something that caught my eye there is this: Nick Paletti and Claybaugh jumping to the pits.
They just drove in. I think you're like you said, may not be drawing them. They did just drive in.
All right, maybe they were blinking or something, but okay, so they drove in. They did not tow, which is good for their races.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, Josh Doty and James Kingsbury now finally making their way into the pits. So, I mean, we'll see if taking it that extra lap was a huge benefit to them. Looks like Kenneth Stanley's probably also going to be pitting another driver who took it 10 laps. Everyone else was only able to do 9 laps.
Yeah, and Kenneth Stanley, interesting enough, has never competed in an official race. At least on this account.
He's also, I believe, the only Audi in the field.
Dave Ferraro was driving an Audi as well.
Oh, yes, he's there. Good catch.
But other than that, the only Audi, and I believe the only Audi still in this race.
Ferraro is actually in. He's 10 laps down, so may as well be out of the race. But he's still sticking around and driving. But yeah, he got involved in a lap one, I think, incident. So with some pretty big damage. So it's been unfortunate for him.
Maybe he didn't have the fast repair checked or something.
I think he did because his car. Maybe there was a second incident as well because his car is definitely clean. But I don't know exactly what happened. But there's all Skip and McLaughlin, and then a Wildridge right in front. So Skip's having to deal with traffic and those two teammates at the same time right now.
Yeah, quite the predicament, and
Clayball fighting him a little bit there.
lots of brain power gonna have to go into this because it is not easy. That's Keith Roycroft there too, who is in the lead of GTD AM and battling off Christopher Craig, who's now 4 seconds behind. He managed to pull a nice gap there.
Yeah, and I think again that's just another example of a driver doing really well on cold tires because it's pretty difficult to drive on the new tires, and they had an exactly same length in the pit lane, so that's all on track that he's pulled away.
All right, so here's Zach Nuremberger. Classic.
Went.
We've seen that a few times here tonight, and then Travis Bell. In that,
yeah, someone coming up on him there.
That may be Marcus Osborne, or this is Travis Bell.
Yeah, that was Osborne behind.
Travis Bell.
That's what we saw.
All right, so monkey see, monkey do, almost.
And then that was Steve Kube there as well, I believe.
Yes.
They're getting a little bit hampered by it, but luckily everyone making out of that alive there.
That's what we like to see. We also had an issue here for Chris Richards, who is blinking. So back to Travis Bell, and that's is that Daniel? That's Steve Kube, who is trying to get past. Neither of these two are in the same class, so they're not battling for points, but they are battling for that track position.
Yeah, Kube is there in fourth, but 22 seconds off of Paletti there in third. So, obviously, like I said, we've already seen three of the pro drivers out, but he's quite a bit off from that podium. But anything can happen with still an hour to go.
And look at that, just how trapped the car of, I believe is that
Newbie is behind
Kube
right now.
Yes, so look how long Newbie spent behind Kube. He was there for about 5 corners or so.
Yeah, I mean, Shank behind caught up. He was 3 seconds or over 2 seconds faster on that lap, and probably most of that came right there with the impedance of traffic that Newbie ran into. That's the one place you don't want to run into traffic because there's just nowhere around.
Yeah, it's definitely not a good spot to be, but nothing you can really do about it.
Yeah, again, we mentioned his name before, but an impressive race run by Richard Curry so far. We saw a few good performances, really strong performances from him last season. I don't think we saw him on the podium, or if we did, it was just a couple times. So, I mean, we didn't see him consistently up there, but then here he is on the podium, really close to Christopher Craig, and this is again, a huge GTD AM field and a very competitive one, where the only guy gone from last year is, well, I guess you have Nuremberger, and then you have
Newbie.
Christopher Newbie, and pretty much everyone else is still there. So that, third place is very impressive right now.
Yeah, nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is his skill set there, as Nuremberger actually goes around him.
Yeah, they split him there. That looked pretty fun. They're so much faster down the straight than the GT3s. It's not even a problem. Oh, Nuremberger spins again, trying not to hit Osborne. Looks like he's gonna be okay. Nearly took his buddy out.
Let's see here. This is the same place he did it last time. Yeah.
That was him just trying not to hit Marcus because he was closing up fast.
But he avoids him, and he'll live to fight another day.
Yeah, Daniel Sykes, as you mentioned before, still up 10 spots. I think it may have been 9 spots when we last mentioned it, so up 10 now. Really good race for him. A couple other big jumpers. We got Leonardo Elijah, who actually had some damage and had a fast repair they had to use, but still up 7 spots. Ryan Jeevan, another new name, up 8. Dan Reals up 7. Dylan Jr.'s up 7. Obviously, with the smaller fields for GTD Pro and LMP2, it's just not possible to make as impressive of a jump up through the field, but still some guys done well. I mean, obviously with Aaron Claybaugh on the whole is actually up 7 spots, made his way around Paletti, and then a number of other GTD AM drivers.
Yeah, he is. He's up 3 in class, and it's a small class, but they are very well spread over the whole field. If we take a look here at the overall, that's how well spread they are. So he's made up 3 positions in his class, but that whole 7 overall, which is a lot.
So not to freak out about it too much, but Terry and Nick were a second faster. Well, okay, on the not on that last, but on I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. They were a second faster than Langenberg was on the last lap. Actually, Terrell almost 2 seconds faster. So it's definitely something where they've caught up some, where it was over 11 seconds after the pit cycle. But there's still a lot of ground to be made, especially because, I mean, they can't even see him really down the road. So it's one they're certainly not getting any benefit from draft right now. So they got a lot of ground to make up still. But 53 minutes. It's anticipated it's probably going to be a 16 more laps by the time that Langenberg gets around. So that's plenty of time to do that.
There definitely is a lot of time, as you mention it. 14 laps is about 47 minutes, and that's for the fast LMP2s. Our GT3 friends are 12 laps in. Wow.
Yeah, the estimate there is that Oil and Roycroft, because I don't think, they have not been lapped yet, but they'll be going 15 more laps by the time that they get around the line, by estimates so far. But I mean, it's the LMP2s are a lot faster, that's for sure.
They definitely are. That's Roger Shank and Chris Newby that went around the Keith Roycroft and Christopher Craig there. And Roger Shank has been trying to stay ahead or get ahead these past few laps. They've just been going back and forth. And looks like he's going to hold it
there.
Very nicely held by Roger into the hairpin.
Not sure exactly what incident influenced it, but Chris Richards now the first retirement of the LMP2 field. It's not easy to drive them, so it's actually a testament to this field's strength. 14 guys, and we made it halfway through the race before someone was out.
Here's what happened to Chris. This looks like turn 1 going into the Dunlop chicane.
Oh, I think he's just pulling it off to quit.
Yep.
He was, I think, 20 plus seconds off of the guy in front. We saw him in an incident earlier in the race.
Maybe just doesn't have the pace here today.
Check Newbie and Shank, Aaron Claybaugh getting in the way of him a little bit and reignited the battle even more.
Yeah, the action never sleeps here. It's quite an action-filled race.
I thought he could have. I feel like he could have. And now he's unfortunately pushing pretty wide there, trying to recover back to the racing line. So losing a little bit of time, but he's still right there on him. Coming up to some traffic in front, right in the spot that I said you don't want to come on traffic. So let's see if they'll be able to get around before they get to the chicanes. Oh yeah, they're fast. Never mind. That's how fast they are.
They've got quite the speed. They don't need it. Daniel Hingley is following Mr. Jeevan quite close. We'll have to keep an eye on them as they
Hingley almost made it up to his overall spot that he started in. Again, was in something early.
Yes, Hingley is down 2 positions. from where he started in 7th place. Mark Dillon Jr. and Ryan Jeevan are both up 6. Daniel Royale's up 5. Marcus Osborne's up 4. Don McCoy's up 4. Kenneth Stanley's up 7. Richard Hurst is up 8.
Leonardo Elijah and Daniel Sykes, both guys have rised up a lot as well.
As Christopher Craig goes to lap him. And here we go. This is Paul Skip and Paul Wildridge. Is that, what, 3 Pauls now? 4 Pauls? How many Pauls do we have? We've got a lot of them.
At least 3.
And they're all nice and close. I'm sure Paul Skip is a little concerned because these 2 cars share the same livery, and they're going to work against him together.
Yeah, they've been going at it for quite a while, and I don't think that this is going to be the end of the battling that we see. We've seen them swap positions a number of times.
Yeah, Marcus Osborne, now Zach Nuremberger no longer there to battle with, but he's got Adrian Garcia Vahil to toy around with on track. And can he get it? It's such a long straight. I'd be interested to know just how many seconds they are full throttle down that straight.
Vahil's got some damage to the rear left as well, so impressive that he's still able to hang around, but it looks like he's lost out through that hairpin.
Yeah, and in the back you can see Zach Nuremberger starting to lurk, so we'll have to keep an eye out on him to catch back up. But
he had a couple incidents, but no damage, so free to try to catch back up.
Yeah, Richard Curry now in 2nd place, looking to hold it into that hairpin. Can he do it? He can. Christopher Craig backs out. Nicely done. Confident on the brakes after the long straight, going about 190 miles per hour. Getting it slowed down and securing the place.
Yeah, really strong race for him so far. Again, he finished 10th last season, just behind Christopher Craig, actually. 6 spots behind. Craig was there in 9th. And he did have a podium in, well, you believe it, Le Mans. So this is definitely his track here, and he's showing a strong performance yet again.
Yeah, you love to see when it goes right for somebody, and going right, well, pretty well for him right now. Now, Nick Paletti and Aaron Claybaugh are having themselves a nice battle up here. The 2 teammates from Doge Squad Racing. Not too bad at all. Roger Shank, Christopher Newby still going at it as well. Further down the order, Josh Doty is chasing down Daniel Real for track position.
I think Paul Boyle probably having the most boring win of his life right now. He's already, again, now up to 20 seconds ahead of his teammates there in pro. We saw him have a couple boring races last season where he would run in that top 5 kind of spot. But you know, Tyler and Terry had pulled way away, and then he was way away from the rest of the field. But to win and be ahead by 20 seconds, you know, he's probably trying to keep them nodding off right now. Also late. It's also late in Britain, so give him some props for that too.
Yeah, 9:30 here in the East Coast means, what is that? That's 2:30 for him. So
2:30 a.m.
Yeah, he's a trooper, and he does this every Wednesday. I don't know how, but him.
Mondays too.
Yeah, Chris Newby, another UKIR man. So him and Paul are the
Richard Curry.
Emotional support Europeans. Yeah, Richard Curry, Daniel Real. They're all emotional support Europeans. Adrian Garcia Vahil, he's from Spain, which is even further, I believe, like 6 hours, 7 hours? I don't remember. But, yeah. They're up pretty late tonight.
Yeah, this is tough to focus up this late, but they're doing really well. And actually, you know, most of those guys you mentioned doing really, of course, Curry there in second, or has he fallen? Oh, he's actually, he and Craig have swapped spots again. He's in third, but still podium spot, and then Paul Boyle dominating pro right now.
Yeah, Paul Boyle doing really well. And I mentioned it earlier, but Zach Nurnberger is all the way back up ahead of Marcus Osborne after his spin. So very well done from him. And it's always fun to watch these two go at it on track.
Yeah, it's just he caught up so much on that straight. Unfortunately, Osborne had fallen off of Vihil, despite Vihil's damage, and had no draft, and Nurnberger just flew by him using that.
He did indeed. But you know, they'll get another chance. All right. Josh Doty and Daniel Real still going at it now. Of course, again, not for class position, but that track position is equally as important. And Daniel Real is ahead.
Yeah, Doty there running in 5th in the GTD Pro. However, the 3 guys behind him have crashed out of the race. So we have no idea where he'd be with the whole field, unfortunately. But again, I expect to probably see slightly larger field next week. You know, there may be some people who want to be in the Pro who are in the AM right now. A couple guys who maybe don't like the prototype as much as the GT3 cars. So I would expect a little bit of shuffling next week.
Yeah, I hope to see the GTDs kind of balance out like they were last season, because they were very, very well divided, and the pace gap was pretty solid. So hopefully to see that again. Right now, if we take a look, our best friends here in GTD are about 3 pro, 4 amateur, and then some pros sprinkled in.
So again, on that straight, Curry and Craig swapped again, but keep an eye out that they've both, despite the fact that they've been battling, they've both caught up to Keith Roycroft in front. Roycroft now only a second and a half, basically, of an advantage on those guys behind.
Yeah, Don McCloy is to the front of that pack with Paul Skip at the back. What happened to the other? Oh, he's way up ahead. Mr. Paul Wildridge is now all the way up here. He's got about 2 seconds back to Don McCloy, so he managed to get ahead and pull a great gap for himself as they're scuffling behind.
I think that Skip had a slowdown of some sort because he pulled off to the side on that straight, and yeah, so he had a slowdown. So that's why we've seen him completely lose sight of Paul Wildridge and get passed by McLaughlin and Don McCloy.
Not what you want to see if you're Paul, but I mean, it's not the end of the world
now, at least.
Yeah, he's got the racing spirit in him. He's a fast driver, so he'll recover.
And a little bit of slip angle there. Again, with the traction control, sometimes it can be hard to whip the rear end, but he did it to effect there in that turn. Again, they're very exciting, the prototypes to watch.
Yeah, I love to watch them, and again, I've showed it a few times already tonight, but the cockpit, the gyro view is a lot of fun, especially through this section. This is my favorite section of track right here. This left-hander. It's flat out if you're brave, at least in LMP1.
Yeah, we've seen already a few guys have some issue through these Porsche curves. It's very difficult. Porsche into DuPont.
What a great view. These cars are awesome. And then, of course, our GT3, which this is the Lamborghini we're in. And that screen, I swear it blocks me every single time I want to drive. I'm not a fan of that screen, but side by side, Christopher Craig and Richard Curry, as it looks like they almost made contact there, but they're all right and make it through.
Let's see. I'm trying to get an eye on the up front again. I just don't think. I think even working together, Nick and Terry just don't have an answer for Tyler Langenberg at the front. It's back to a 13-second gap, and despite all the ump drafting and and teamwork and stuff that they've been doing, it's just not enough. And Tyler Langenberg continues to put in really impressive times. We still have 40 minutes to go. We still have another pit cycle to go through. But I mean, it's kind of looking like no one has an answer for him so far.
Yeah, 12 seconds is a lot to gain back. And then to make the pass, well, I mean, it's not that hard around here, but it's still tricky.
Yeah. When they cross the line next time, it's going to be 12 laps to go, so they're going to have to be doing at least a second a lap faster. And I mean they're struggling to be faster at all right now, so it's a big ask. It's going to require potentially a mistake by Langenberg in front.
And with the race that he's run so far, I don't think we're going to see much of a mistake from him. He is really, really solid out there, and doing what he's supposed to bring home that trophy if he can.
Well, Skip's certainly not had a boring race, fighting with Paul Wildridge ahead, slow down, and then immediately into the clutches of McLaughlin and Don McCloy. So he's been busy the last 10 laps or so, I think, at least.
Yeah, I'm sure he's having fun out there. Definitely not the most boring race for him as it is for Paul Boyle, who has just kind of been dominating this race. He's got about a 21-second lead, so not too bad. This is Miguel McNamara.
Just talking about the difficulty of those turns, but that was an interesting. He actually got on the inside, just trying to really set up for the next turn, and just got into the grass, which you can't do at all, or you're going to lose it like that. Or as someone I know may say that setup, the setup they're running just doesn't. It just they can't control it when it goes in the grass.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's pretty true when it comes to the LMDH car. I feel like it has less grass control than any other car.
Yes, it'll be a challenge at Daytona in a few weeks. The LMP2 certainly easier to drive, but has proven to be easier for some than others in this race. Not many large mistakes we've seen from the cars. Again, only one guy who we've had crash out of the race for the LMP2. But I mean, the pace, no one's able to do what Langenberg is able to do, lap in, lap out. Oh, Jeff McDonald loses it right before Tetra Rouge. Luckily, Langenberg barely avoids that. Almost had his race end there, actually.
That might be the way that he loses it tonight. Not a mistake, but a slower car. You've seen some complications.
Just got into the grass.
Seen complications with it before, and it would not be the first time. An LMP2 car has a little issue dealing with a GTD car.
McDonald's having a good last few laps. I was watching as well. He was catching up to Daniel Hingley in front, and unfortunately, at his he said that he was looking in his mirrors. He was getting a little too focused on race leader Langenberg behind, and just kind of lost a little bit of focus.
That's never what you want, but it happens for sure.
Yeah, no damage for him, luckily, but he's gonna have to make up that large gap again to Hingley in front.
Paul Wildridge's about 2.5 second gap is now down to about 1.5, so that group of three is certainly catching him as they go around there. I believe that
not really working together, but they're faster.
Yeah, they have some speed going. That momentum is building up, and they're hoping to chase down Wildridge and battle for P4.
Apologies to Don McCloy there. His beautiful martini livery not showing up on the stream, but he's similar to what he would run in the GT3s. He's got a great old-fashioned martini livery for that LMP2.
Wish it would show up for us. The refresh did not work, so unfortunately he's jet black tonight. It's Kenneth Stanley here.
Already has some damage to the front of that car.
Daniel Real going a little wide and maybe caught off guard, got distracted, and locks it up.
I don't. Yeah, that was interesting and almost looked on purpose. He didn't lock up. He didn't get sideways or anything. Maybe he was just trying to get out of the way of those guys. I don't think they were on the same lap. I think Real may be a lap ahead of him, so that may explain that.
That's very possible.
And looking at the incidents, there's still a huge number of guys with no incident points at all. Just to list them off real quick: Langenberg, Bell, Skip, Doty, McCloy, Jeevan, Neri, Roycroft, Real, Webb, and Shank. Those guys, no incident points, and will be bringing home a non-dropped or bonus points to the race. And then, again, a ton of guys between that 1 and 5. There's almost nobody who has made their way out of any bonus points. Again, like I said, it's very easy to avoid incident points here because you're not going to get an off track basically anywhere.
Yeah, it's not too bad to stay on the track there as we see the overall timing sheet with a few off tracks, but some of those may come from qualifying.
Ryan Jeevan coming into the pits now after another 9 laps, so keep an eye out. We're going to be seeing everybody pitting soon, because that was after his 9. What's interesting is we saw everybody pit after 9 last time, and now everybody's going 10. Langenberg's on his 10th, Terrell's on his 10th, Cowger's on his 10th. So I don't know what's been different about this stint, but it seems like everybody's able to go an extra. Did they go 10 last time? They must have gone. I think I was thinking 10 and 11. My bad. So yeah, keep an eye out. In a couple minutes, we're probably going to see everyone start their pit cycle for ideally the rest of the race, but it's going to be a little bit close.
We got a newbie working his magic with 18 laps on the stint. That's of course a an error in the calculations there, but you know, if it's true, good job, newbie.
Look at these two guys on Skip. Oh, McCloy. McCloy thought McLaughlin was going to pull out, but he couldn't because that Hingley there. They were afraid of pulling out, so they both lost some momentum, but I think they still have time to get around.
They are really close.
McLaughlin does. McCloy just trying to pick a side here. Unfortunately, what looked like it was going to be an easy double pass for those guys around Skip, only McLaughlin's going to get through.
Yeah, I'm sure Skip's not too upset about that one there, but he'll want to get back up there as they drive around that beautiful Ford there.
Going around Hurst, yeah, he's Kube is one of the other Fords. I think the only two using the Ford in the race.
Let's take a look here. We have Kube in the Ford and Hurst in the Ford, and that's it. Terry Calgary Jr. Uh-oh. What happened to him?
Everything looks weird so far.
Into the hairpin. Oh, that's going to cost him.
Yeah, like we said, that gap that they needed to cut down, that needed to be perfect. They have made some inroads on it, but at least Terrell and Calgary together, but now Calgary's lost a lot doing that. I mean, luckily not a huge mistake. It just seemed like the car went on turn in there a little bit against a difficult car on the brakes, but that hurts.
That's Wildrich to the back of the pack in 7th now because of a very, very bad traffic. Was it a slowdown? I don't know. I saw some locked brakes. Seems like he caught the GTD car at the wrong time. But yeah, from 4th all the way down to 7th
hit the
in a
wall.
few corners. Oh, did he? Oh, he's into the pits too. Actually, it's about time for that, isn't it? So McLaughlin and McCloy staying out. I don't know if they have the fuel for that, but
yeah, it was not a slowdown. You were right. So he comes and it was a combo of both. So Wildridge side tried staying on the racing line, and he needed to pass Schmidt going going off the racing line. However, Schmidt has slowed down directly on the racing line, causing that. So that could have been a lot worse. But yeah, you can see there he loses 3 positions from that, and that's going to be hard to get back. But luckily, like you said, right in the pit window to get that repaired.
Yeah, so here's what happens.
Schmidt slows down to let him by, but you can't do that on the racing line. You know, that's lucky that's the worst that came of that.
Yeah. All right, so we've got
Hindenburg's still out there. So he's going 11. Harold's going 11. Calgar into the pits though after that incident, I think. Yes, he did go into the pits.
We can take a look actually here at our pit lane, and that'll show us who's in the pits and how long they're taking.
Doesn't surprise me that Terrell's been able to save some fuel with the bump drafting that him and Terry been doing, but you know, I don't know where Tyler's getting that fuel saving. We saw him win a race last season at Watkins Glen late in the season, pretty much exclusively from fuel saving. He's using that a little bit more today, but much more comfortable gap than he had at Watkins Glen, where that came down to the wire.
Yeah, Tyler Langenberg, I mean, he showed some great pace last season, but this season he is up there. He's got it, and he's locked in. So hopefully we see a wonderful battle with him.
Oh, actually, Calgar into the wall, joining the Mulsanne straight. I think he got away with it. Like I said, at least previously, I've seen some minor contact like that do some major damage to this LMP2 car. He's got a little bit. There's a little bit of miscommunication with a couple cars he was lapping, but it looks like he's okay.
Always good to know that that they're all right when they make a mistake, because it's not fun. But Paul Boyle's into the pits. He is a third of a mile ahead of his competition. That is, that's pretty impressive.
I just wanted to bring attention. You know, we've seen that group of McLaughlin, McCloy, Skip, and Wildridge, and obviously part of this is because Terry has pit, but McCloy, who is now actually coming up on McLaughlin right now, right in the back, he's made up 3 spots and is looking to make a 4th after some badly timed traffic from McLaughlin.
Let's see if he can do it. That's a very orange Lamborghini there of, I believe, yes. And they're both going to go into the pits, so the Lamborghini's not going to play too much of a factor right now.
Well, he did right before it. He slowed down. It was just a horrible spot for McLaughlin to catch him up in, and lost a lot of time to McCloy behind. Yeah, we're seeing all those guys who took it an extra lap coming into the pits now. See if there's any major mistakes, but I don't see any black flags held up.
Yeah, we've seen some troubles. Terry Calgar Jr., I recall, a few seasons ago at Le Mans, had a few pit troubles, went past his box, couldn't get into it. It was too far over on one side, so that could make the difference in this battle. But looks like they both made it in fairly nicely, although McCloy's not taking tires.
Yeah, Terry, that's interesting. Terry, yeah, he did win last season finally after a long string of cursed finishes here at Le Mans.
Terry actually taking 8 out of 9 counted races as victories.
Yeah, I don't understand that, unless it was a mistake. I don't understand that call by McCloy to not take tires, because it takes longer to fill up the car than it does to put the tires on. So like, I mean, when you watch like one of these cars, when they put the tires on, they drop the car, and they still sit there for 5 or 6 seconds. It's a pretty large amount, 5 or 6 seconds before they can start going, because the fuel takes that much longer.
Yeah, and it seems like, let's see, it's not going to show up until they complete a lap, but Don McCloy came out way behind. Or no, Paul Wildridge. Okay, so he actually came out ahead. I'm getting the blue cars messed up now.
Well, McCloy was behind McLaughlin going into the pits and ahead of Paul Skip, but he's now behind Skip.
Oh. All right, so I am getting these blue cars messed up here. All right, Marcus Osborne. We'll come back to these cars. We've got some time until they get to the corner. Into turn 1 on some cold, well, somewhat cold tires. And, yeah, just really weird on the brakes. Catches that curb wrong or something, and he goes around.
We saw that happen to Nürnberger before. We saw it happen to Terry to a more minor extent. McCloy's now lost to Paul Woodridge, as we can see there. I have to wonder if he's lost a couple of these spots and some pace not taking tires. I would assume that everyone else did, and I can imagine that would be a pretty heavy effect. Even the cold new tires should be faster than some pretty worn ones.
Yeah, I think that was just a mistake. Surely he couldn't have thought there was some strategical advantage there. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see in a few minutes how that works out. We got Claybaugh and Paletti making their way into pit lane now as well. Going to be coming in for their final pit. Most everyone has. We still have Josh Doty, again, a driver who took an extra lap last time. He's still going to come in. James Kingsbury. And then we have some guys who had to pit for some damage there, unfortunately, in a bit of a bind. So Michael De La Sala is one who he's currently on his 6th lap, so he's definitely going to have to pit again.
Yeah, you don't like to see it, but it happens. And Paul Skip, by the way, up to P4. So he's made it work to get way back up there, and he's doing very good.
Yeah, he's had a good outlap, made his way around Owen McLaughlin, and then McCloy, as we mentioned, lost 3 spots already. Oh wow, that's in the wall.
That's David Schmidt, I believe, in the Porsche, or no? Oh, Don McCloy, Paul Wildridge, both caught up in that though. Hold on.
Oh no.
Let's take a look here as the Porsche goes off. And oh no.
Wow. Nothing they could do. Absolutely no fault to either of those guys. It was just a harmless mistake by. Oh, and if you actually watch Schmidt, I think he does. I think he slows down on the racing line again, and Kube. I mean, not his fault, but Kube ends up dumping him because he doesn't realize that Schmidt is braking on the racing line. Luckily, Skip narrowly makes it by, but yeah, those 2 guys behind. I know McLaughlin was able to survive that as well, just by just a couple feet. That was really close for him too.
Yeah, those 2, Don McCloy and Wildridge, upside down there. Or not upside down, but on top of the other one. That's pretty impressive there. And a heartbreak for both of them, for sure.
Both into the pits. They'll have a faster pair still, but that opens the door for Nürnberger and Osborne behind, who have now made their way around, and Andrew Neri as well.
Yeah, those 2 are having some great races, but.
And Vihil. So yeah, they've lost almost all the spots, unfortunately.
Yep, Don McCloy. The only car behind him in class is Roger Shank.
Vihil losing it. Yeah, okay, it's just into the sand there. But another one. Some of these drivers having an issue on the brakes. We're just doing a little tap and enough steering angle, and it just snaps.
Yeah, doing a little rallycross. Not too major of a problem though. Chris Newby's still behind him. Roger Shank's still behind him. And he's got a pretty decent buffer, but he has lost his chance to pass Marcus and Zach for the time being, unless they make some big mistakes.
Wildridge and McCloy now pulling out of the pits, both staying in it. Both have that faster pair done. Obviously going to be next to each other here on track, but they're both last of the runners. Roger Shank also made his way around in that while they were getting the repairs done.
Yeah, you're monitoring the in-game chat. Any controversy there?
There's a lot. There's a lot of talking. I'm having to tune into your voice. But no, I don't think anything was said after that incident. I mean, everyone knows that it was just unfortunately a horrible mix of circumstances and some harmless mistakes. But there's the good thing to hear though is there's been a lot of communication on the slower classes and the faster classes passing each other, which is really necessary to having a clean race. And I think that it goes to prove that we've gone through this entire race, and I don't think we've seen a single issue of the faster class running over the slower class outside of a couple little miscommunications.
Yeah, it's been generally pretty clean and much better. Much better than the general consensus towards the first time the LMP2's cars were tried in this league.
Oh, lockup.
Yeah, that's Adrian Garcia of a heel going rally crossing once again.
Also better than you're going to get in an official, that's for sure.
It's definitely better. But yeah, we tried this about a year ago now, and it was deemed unsafe and done away with, and it's back again, and it's working out pretty well.
Oh, is Christopher Craig ahead of Roycroft? Is that what actually happened? I saw it on your...
No.
No. Sorry. Okay. I saw that on the graphic. It surprised me for a second. But no, in that race I did get the win. So I actually not too many complaints from me on that race. I was able to survive. Again, that was not just LMP2s. That was LMP2s and GTEs with the GT3 cars. So it was a bit of a white knuckle affair.
Yes, at most sport, no less.
Yes. Again, my magic track. That's where I have all my best races. So it was the perfect storm for me.
Yes, but quite a tight track, and I think we're doing a lot better here.
Manicure on this schedule, not that much larger, honestly. It's a pretty short track, and it is wider at some parts, but at other parts not.
Yeah, I think we'll see how that works out. You and I tomorrow in the Porsche Cup Challenge, and if it works for them, then maybe we'll see it work here. But if it doesn't work for them, then we'll know it's not gonna work too well here either.
We see some pretty aggressive racing in the Porsche Cup stuff, but yeah, looking at again, I was wondering if Christopher Craig had passed. He's actually further back now than he was before. So Keith Roycroft still holding first, has run a really impressive race for that GTD AM field, even leading the GT3s as a whole at certain points, and is 7 seconds ahead of Craig behind.
Yeah, so pretty good race from him. I know we've cursed him once or twice, so I think we're gonna have to stop talking about him for the last 18 minutes of this race. Yeah. And hopefully, unlike Fuji, his wheel will stay intact in the last few laps.
Still got to win. But,
he did win.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see. I'm hoping to see a season. This again. We know that Keith Roycroft is going to be one of the favorites coming in. I'm just hoping to see some more consistency. He's always had great pace. I think he had the most pole positions for the class last season, but had a number of races that unfortunately ended in the pits. So just hoping to see a season with some more consistency, some less incidents, and I mean, if he can do that, then he could easily win the championship.
Yeah, Keith Roycroft, AM champion, has a nice ring to it, so hopefully he can step up, like you say. Looks like a new fastest lap has been set at 3:21.9. I just saw it change.
Terrell.
Yes, Terrell is
still 15 seconds from Langenberg, I believe.
Terrell's got some speed. Otherwise, Terry is doing some rallycross.
I could have gone badly. Good that there's enough runoff there.
So uncharacteristic, really, of Terry Calgary Jr. tonight. He's usually on it, no mistakes, nothing. But tonight, he just does not have the locked-in mindset.
Yeah, it's a little interesting. It's kind of coming right at about the time where it was clear that they're not catching up to Langenberg unless there's a big mistake. And I think maybe just over pushing in desperation to catch up. But really good battle that we're seeing with McCloy and Wildridge there. McCloy able to keep it on the inside and stay ahead.
Yeah, despite being
and that's gonna be Wildridge ahead there.
Yeah, they are nice and racy with each other, despite one of them being on top of the other just about 2 or 3 laps ago.
Yeah, this is a 1v1 thing for them now because, well, I mean, I guess they do have a chance of catching up to Roger Shank if they're really fast. But other than that's the best they're gonna get.
Yeah, very.
Oh man, they're coming up some again. Porsche curves. Ford. It's just. I mean, where are you supposed to go? You can see their pain. Like they're gonna go on the left here probably after this turn. But man, that's a headache to watch.
Yeah, but I really I think this format is working out pretty well here tonight. As Shank's in the pits actually, so.
Interesting. He's only gone 4 laps.
Yeah. We've seen everybody go about 10 or 11.
He has some damage to the front of the car. He actually has a meatball. Okay, so there was an incident on that lap that we didn't catch. It doesn't look horrible damage, but it was enough to give him a meatball. So he had to come in and... Oh, I see what happened. It was after Indianapolis. He got into that sand that we just saw Adrian Vahil do some rallycross in. And it unfortunately spun him right into the wall. So that's what happened there, and he's going to end up behind both Wildridge and McCloy now.
All right, so not the race he wanted, but at least he's not last in class. With Chris Richards will take that spot with bailing out of the session at about 13 laps.
I do think that Paul Boyle's just taking a bit of a break because he's only 14 seconds ahead of Paletti now. He's putting in a second, 2-second lap slower. I think he's he's only got 14 minutes to go. He's got 4 laps once he crosses the line most likely. So it's been a really good race, and he deserves a little bit of a break.
Yeah, he is on mental vacation right now, but you can't let it go too far, or it'll catch up to him. It's happened before. We've seen very late mistakes out of nowhere. I once had a sizable lead over Marcus Osborne in GT4, and ended up having to battle him to the last corner to take that win because of a stupid spin, as I got too comfortable.
Also, by the way, bring attention to a name that I don't even think we've really mentioned yet, but on, I believe, the previous lap took the final podium spot in GTD AM away from Richard Curry is Travis Bell. So that's a new name, and he's made his way up to 3rd in the GTD AM class, a very big field, and has had a pretty clean race as well.
Yeah, Travis Bell has some support there in the chat from Static Drop, and hopefully he can take that debut podium in E4A. That'd be something nice to write home about.
Yeah, it's been really good for he is up 6 total positions from where he gridded, and so already a pretty good qualifying spot, but now able to sit there in 3rd for the overall standings, where we've seen Curry most of the time. Yeah, Osborne losing it here in the Ford curves.
Ooh,
oh, that was a big hit. That may be enough to do some floor damage.
Ouch. I hope he doesn't
Especially
do that.
with the new model, you can get some floor damage on these cars.
Yeah, you could do that for a while, and it's not fun. You'll lose just random speed out of nowhere, and even though the car, you really can't tell that it's broken.
Well, we need to keep an eye on that then, because he's only got 6 seconds on Vahil and Newbie behind. Currently running 8th, still up 5 spots from his starting position. But if there is some major damage, then he's in threat of losing some more. Also at 5 spots with maybe some less worry is Nurnberger and Andrew Neri. in 7th and 6th. So both guys who have taken advantage of some others' mistakes and stayed in the race without, making any too big of errors.
Yeah, and I think we'll see a lot more of that from them this season, because they are some pretty decent drivers.
And then again, more rise. Mark Dillon Jr. Has made his way all the way up. Didn't have a great qualifying. Has made his way all the way up to the doorstep of the podium. Obviously, he's 15 seconds back from Richard Curry, who is 7 seconds back from Travis Bell, but up 11 total spots for Dillon Jr. in 5th place for him right now.
Not too bad from him. He is he's always a wild card. He will have no pace in the practice session, put it on pole, and then win it, or he'll have all the pace in the practice session and go downhill from there.
Well, I know on Monday he got pole and then was immediately last after turn 1. So after an early mistake with a cut corner and then didn't bleed off the penalty long enough and got a black flag. It was a little bit of a heartbreak.
I was there, and then I crashed into the back of somebody and quit. I don't even know who I hit anymore. I think it was this man right here, Paul Boyle.
Yeah, he maybe responded a little bit to what I said, because it's been well, actually I think Clay Bob must have had a slow lap. He was 4 seconds slower on the previous lap. Not that any of this really matters. We're down to 9 minutes, and Boyle's got a quarter of a minute. So the actual lap times are irrelevant, except for Claybaugh and Paletti duking it out to see who's going to get which spot on the podium.
Yes, and they are battling for the interview slot, really, because 3rd place will not be interviewed, only the top 2. So it's a matter of who wants to talk to us more.
McLaughlin's got a huge toe on Paul Skip here, trying to pass him. Again, Skip not able to go this race without battling somebody at least every lap, and is going to get passed here. But again, keep an eye out. We're only halfway down the straight. He's going to have a chance to do it again. Go back around. Going through this kink here at the end of the air.
I wonder if Skip knows his wheels are bright blue.
It doesn't really match the vibe, but it matches the guy he's racing, that's for sure.
I mean, it doesn't look bad. It just doesn't look like it's intentional.
Well taken through that. Oh, actually, right. Yeah, that was a little bit of a curse by me. A little bit of wheel spin, a little bit of traction control. Now you can see how much advantage McLaughlin's got on him.
Heading down, I believe this is the international corner, if I'm correct. Maybe.
Oh, they're going golf corner there. I don't know. Maybe it's got other names.
This green curb here is one of my favorite corners as well. This whole section, it's a nice fast corner where you just tap the brakes and then you have to get on them hard.
Yeah, especially at nighttime, Indianapolis there is terrifying. It's one of the hardest spots on the track, and I've made many a mistake there. But as a Hoosier myself, I do have to like it just because of its name.
I have actually never raced on this track. I've driven it in practice, but never done any racing here.
I've had some racing end right there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So well done for McLaughlin to get around there. Again, just the slightest of mistakes by Skip, but it was a long straight there that unfortunately he was going to be suffering down. McLaughlin's still close enough for him to fight back, but that's going to be those 4th and 5th spots for LMP2. No one else really in front or behind anywhere close. So they were 2 that were involved in that big group with that also included McCloy and Wildridge, the 2 survivors, trying to figure out who's going to be where in that top 5.
Yeah, no, McCloy quite far off of Wildridge if we take a look at the two on track. That's Wildridge. All the way in the back there is McCloy. So some sort of drama has split the two up.
Wide by McLaughlin. Skip, he's not going to have a gap here, unfortunately, but they're coming up on some traffic as well. Yeah, McLaughlin made a little bit of a mistake there in Dunlop, and Skip was able to close right back up. So keep an eye on this straight. We may see another event here where Skip passes and then McLaughlin has time to pass him back, just like the inverse of what we saw last lap.
Surely it couldn't be as simple as just letting off the throttle for a little bit and then getting on it and passing later in the straight.
It's definitely something you can consider doing, hanging back for a while, enough of a gap that you can then step on the throttle, but he's going to go for it early. And with some traffic coming up, as you can see up there, maybe the right answer.
Yeah, maybe
McLaughlin a little slow to get into the draft of Skip, but it's going to be effective.
I don't know.
Yeah, look at that.
It's hard to tell, but I feel like, honestly, I'm not driving and I haven't done any testing, but I feel like if you could time it right, it'd be so much smarter to just wait in the slipstream for a little bit.
Yeah, you want to. I feel like probably the best would be to stick up close and then drop back just a little bit before hammering the gas, maybe like halfway down the straight, and zoom by before they have the chance to get you back again. Because just like I kind of predicted there, we saw the switch and then switch back.
Yeah, so Paul Skip wasting a trip down that long straight there, and he's gonna have.
He's only gonna have one more.
Yeah, one more chance on that straight. So he's got to play it smart the next time he goes through there.
And Langenberg's coming through Porsche curves now. He'll be getting the white flag when he comes to the line.
All right. Let's take a look at Langenberg.
Comes a little bit of traffic there. Another, again, bad time, but luckily McDonald makes it very clear where he's going to be on the track and goes smoothly.
Yes, McDonald, a very, very seasoned driver here in E4A. He's seen the podium many times since his debut last season. All right. So, Langenberg.
This will be it.
Coming through. He's sliding that car around quite a lot. And that white flag is now flying. So, we have a few unfinished stories here. Adrian Garcia Vahil and Christopher Newby going at it. Paul Skip and Owen McLaughlin also going at it. Of course, Aaron Claybaugh and Nick Paletti, who have been fighting all race. And, yeah, I don't know who to watch. They're all about equally spread, and they're all having some pretty important battles.
Yeah, Hingley and Real, also two drivers that are close. Real's got some damage. It looks like Hingley's probably going to get around him here. It's with a field this large, no one's really probably had that long without another car around them at some point.
Yeah, that is a lot of damage on Real, but yeah,
it's definitely affecting him. He's not even able to use the tow.
It is a huge field, and I mean, this must be record numbers for E4A.
I believe it is. Yeah, I mean, like Real, I'm just to cite the stats, he's going 285. Hingley in front is going the same speed, and he doesn't even have a tow. So that's some bad damage on there, and that's for the 6th spot for GTD AM.
And Zach, for some reason, is using KPH.
Well, we're in France.
We are, but
When in France.
This is a Freedom Units broadcast. But
Do too much open wheel racing for that.
well,
McLaughlin.
here is Paul Skip's last chance to make this work down the straight, and that traffic is not going to help.
Oh, we see McLaughlin get around, and then now Skip. Oh, do I see?
Skip's almost level.
They're coming up on another. They're coming up on Terry actually in front there. What is good? Is Terry out of fuel or something?
Surely not.
Why is that? What? He's super low on revs. I don't. I think he's out.
Is she gonna need
That's
a push
Eric
around
Albert.
the track? Surely that's going to throw a wrench into the works here. Now, Paul Skip does get ahead on the straight,
Wow.
so Paul Wildridge
Yeah,
has
he's on
to
the right
make a
line.
good move in this last section of racetrack, because we are on the white flag right now.
Maybe it was a slowdown, but he was really low on red. That was late into the straight. I'm very interested to know what's going on with this car right now.
I don't know. I'd assume slowdown.
It was
Richard.
late to be serving it though.
Uh-oh. Adrian Garcia Vahil on the last lap goes into the barrier or something. He's crashed, and he's going to drop down behind Roger Schenk, most likely.
Yeah, it's a shame. Couple mistakes he's unfortunately had. Maybe it was a slowdown because it looks like Terry's back up to speed. He
Alright.
definitely brought this close. What a win by Tyler Langenberg though there. I mean, no one had an answer for him. That was really impressive.
Yes, and he was really sliding that car through the final. Uh-oh. Oh. Alright, so he's already finished the race. Got me scared
Oh,
for
Paul Skip
Paul
almost lost
Skip.
it right
Wow. He is getting a little squirrely in the rear end there. Terry Kegger Jr., although losing a lot of time at the end, manages to stay ahead for the time being. 2 more corners to go, and he has secured that 3rd place. Paul Skip coming out ahead of Owen McLaughlin, and of course Paul Wildridge as well. But very well done with him. He has made a lot of good passes and a lot of good strategy defending, whatever you may want to call it. He's had some great racing.
Luckily, all right.
That's
Guy
Paul
spun in front
Boyle.
of Paul Boyle there, but luckily avoids it. His
No.
teammates figuring out who's gonna get second.
Who wants the interview more? It looks like Paletti does right now in that Payday car. What? I don't know. What's better, Payday or Chick-fil-A?
Definitely Chick-fil-A.
I'd say.
Payday doesn't even make my top 25 for candy bars.
Yeah. So I'm going with Chick-fil-A. Oh, I almost touched there. I want Chick-fil-A to win because I like Chick-fil-A better than Payday, but I also
Got the
like
inside line.
getting paid on
Oh,
Payday.
he gets into he got deep into the grass there. That was stressing me out there. Paul
He's
Boyle coming
ahead
up to
now.
the forward curves, about to cross the line for an incredibly dominant win in that GTD Pro class.
There he is. Paletti's fallen back finally. Paul Boyle wins in GTD Pro. A wonderful win to start off his season, and he's gonna bet to make that a good season.
And there's going to be Claybaugh coming in here, second place.
Here comes Mr. Chick-fil-A, the better of the 2 foods. Nice little power
Their
slide.
squad also locking out the podium. Something that they wanted to do last season, I'm sure, and I know we're about to see them join up for a team picture.
That's what they do all the time.
And then Keith Roycroft there, so we missed him crossing the line, but Keith Roycroft, great win. Faultless start to finish. Really put together a consummate performance with Christopher Craig coming behind, another really consistent driver, and then Travis Bell finishing out his lap right now to get a debut podium.
Yeah, not too bad. I'd say, in static drop in chat, P3, let's go. Pretty excited for the 55 car there on the debut.
Yeah, this was a really clean race for 50 cars, and the first race with LMP2. Some guys who've probably never even done races with the LMP2. This was really clean, and I think it was a successful experiment that I'm excited for the rest of the season.
Yeah, great showing of this format on its debut, and really gonna be great. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more in the GTD Pro class, but other than that, really strong race.
Yeah, next week we'll be heading to Hockenheim. Certainly one that I think is a little bit underused, but will be plenty big enough for these LMP2 cars to sail around these guys.
Indeed. All right, so let's take a look at our results here. Of course, Tyler Langenberg with a wonderful win is going to take the win. Then Nick Terrell is going to follow him in second place. Then Terry Kegger Jr., Paul Skip, Owen McLaughlin, Andrew Neri, Zach Nurnberger, Marcus Osborne, Paul Wildridge, Chris Newby, Don McCloy, Roger Shank, Adrian Garcia Vahil, and then Chris Richards. That's our LMP2s.
For our GTD Pro field, certainly did not have the funnest race with some a small field, but some incidents. But Paul Boyle with a perfect win, pulling out a huge 20-second gap behind to Aaron Claybaugh and Nicholas Paletti from Doge Squad, followed then by Steve Kube, Craig Willis, Josh Doty, Antoine DeCash, and Tony Watson.
All right, and now the long list. Keith Roycroft taking a season opening win in GTD AM, followed by Christopher Craig, then Travis Bell on his debut, Mark Dillon Jr., Daniel Hingley, Richard Curry, Daniel Rayal, Ryan Jeevan, Jeff McDonald, James Kingsbury, Jonathan Webb, Rick Hughes, Michael Della Sala, Leonardo Elijah, John Kelly, Daniel Sykes, Miguel McNamara, and Richard Hurst.
And then following Hurst, we have Dan Coleman, Kenneth Stanley, Dave Ferrara, David Schmidt, Dustin Dos Valles, Eric Jacobs, Donovan Johnston, Dale Barnett, Atticus Middleton, and Forrest Sleek.
All right, so we've had 50 cars here tonight, and I think that's pretty impressive. So we're going to hear from our podium, our top two of each class, although it only looks like we have two in the booth right now.
Yep, we got our two GTD Pro guys, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in Aaron Claybaugh, our second place finisher for that GTD Pro class. Aaron, you get me in the booth here?
I got you.
Well, that's a Doge Squad lockout on the podium. Again, an impressive finish. Not the largest GTD Pro field, but still one that was done with pretty much without any mistakes. How much practice did you guys put in for this race leading up to it?
Yeah, so I got to give all the credit to Nicholas. He did most of the practice. I've not been feeling well, so my first laps were actually in the warm-up session. So I think, all things considered, it went pretty well.
With the end of that race, obviously you guys, especially in like the first fuel stint, you and Paletti working together quite a lot. Are the gloves off once you get to last lap?
Oh yeah. I don't know if you guys caught it on the broadcast. Going into Porsche curves side by side, it was gloves off. We were racing like we weren't teammates. So yeah, that was fun though. This was a great track. I think a great way to start off the season. Just really fun.
Yeah, you were stressing me out getting into the grass at the Porsche curves there. I thought we were about to see disaster. One thing that I think we're all wondering is with the new balance and with the new tires and everything, what was your experience with the tires over, a 45-minute stint compared to what it was last season?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was the cold tires coming out of the pits. And maybe that was partially because we didn't always change tires in previous seasons. Now it makes sense to take tires since you can feel and change them at the same time. But as far as fall off, I didn't experience a ton of that throughout the stint. The second stint where it did get a little bit hotter in the peak of the day, I noticed the car wasn't gripping as much anymore. But thankfully, the first stint, my car was really hooked up and I was able to make a charge through the field and get into a comfortable position for the remaining two stints.
With last season, despite finishing fifth, somehow that podium always eluded you. So starting off the season right with a podium, what do you think that you can take to Hockenheim next week from this performance?
Yeah, Hockenheim's one of my favorite tracks to drive. think we raced there a couple seasons ago and was pretty strong there until got in an incident. So I'm feeling really good. I'm liking this shorter schedule. I think the tracks on it are really, really great, and I think are going to suit a lot of drivers. And it's going to be a blast. I'm really looking forward to this season.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you in the booth again. Although I don't think that your teammates are going to make it too easy on you with the with it just being the top two, and potentially some others really joining in that fight. So, good luck with next week, and good luck with a great start to the season.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for doing the broadcast. You guys do an awesome job every week.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have a good night, Aaron.
You too.
And that was our second place finisher for GT Pro, Aaron Clayball. And I'm going to bring in race winner with no sweat, Paul Boyle. Paul, you getting me in the booth?
Running loud and clear.
Well, it's certainly late there in the UK, but still, you put together a pretty faultless performance, won by 20 seconds. I could tell you could kind of take your foot off the gas at the end there. Where were you able to find such unmatchable pace for this race from your teammates who know you very well and have driven with you a lot?
So first things first, all credits got to go to Nick Paletti for the hard legwork put in practice to find the right car to be in. As you saw, we were all in Ferraris today by just pure virtue of top speed alone, and it definitely worked out. Outside of that, though, against those two, I'm fortunate enough that they got caught in a little bit of early traffic. And in traffic's the wrong word. Everyone was racing clean, hard, and fun. It was a great race. I was fortunate to be off the front of it from a get-go and not having to squabble.
Obviously, with a track like this where you're just driving straight for, half of the lap, it's not a huge stress on the tires. But is it still one where, it's a no-brainer, take all 4 tires since they do it at the same time as fuel now?
The thing with tires is the tires go on at the same time now, and the only point where you're still on the jacks once the fuel is finished is if you're fueling less than about half a tank, even on our restricted tank size. So the moment you're doing anything close to a full stint on the tires, you can, or a full stint on a fuel, my apologies, you can guarantee fresh tires every time. Might actually be interesting to see if anyone tried a no tire strategy there, just because the cold tires obviously cost about 3 seconds in the opener. But outside of that, no, it was definitely worthwhile still taking them.
So, with that info in mind, does that mean that for the future races such as Hockenheim that we've got next week, is it going to be one where you actually try to just split the race up into, like equal length stints rather than just going to the end of the fuel tank?
I'm not sure. I still reckon, purely off of the way this new tire model works, that the overcut is still the way to play. The warm tires and the lap times you can get with slightly worn tires but really low fuel just outweighs the idea of coming in early and filling back up again. The only point where I could potentially see that being worthwhile is, let's say it's 2.2 tanks of fuel to the end of the race, and it is a 2-stop, but that second stop is a splash and dash. At which point that splash and dash would not be tires, or you could potentially stretch it to 3 stints of an eighth of a tank each.
Yeah, it's something that I think we're interested in seeing where the strategy goes. I know that you'll put in plenty of practice figuring out which one the best one is. So, good luck with the rest of the season. This is you didn't have any wins last season. You had a number of, or you had one podium, which again was you and Claybaugh both combining for one, which was a shocker considering how high you guys finished up in the standing. So this was a great start to the season, one where I think all 3 of you guys are going to be competitors for the championship. Good luck with that, and we hope to see you in the podium again, or see you in the booth again from another podium.
I hope to have many more conversations with you, Zach. Thank you very much.
Have a good night, Paul. That was our race winner for GT Pro, Paul Boyle. Let's see who we got in here. I'm going to bring in now second place for our new LMP2 class, formerly legend, now pro, Nick Terrell. Nick, you getting me in the booth here?
Yeah, what's up?
Well, you have been rescued from the ranks of legend to be allowed to race again with your iRating just there under 3,000. A second place, so a great debut performance on the season. With obviously we're working with Terry a lot. Did you guys, where was that pace that you guys were finding to be so ahead of all of the rest of the field? Fourth back from you guys.
Yeah, I messaged him and Tyler actually before the race once I saw the qualifying ranks, and I was letting them know if we could just work together a little bit, we could probably make a gap. Because I saw it was like a 7 or 10 gap from third to fourth or fourth to fifth, I believe. So it's just one of those deals that unless they could also agree to work together behind us, if at least 2 or 3 of us go work together, then you get linked up. And I mean, you have a 6 to 7 mile an hour advantage at minimum. So you can get linked up pretty good. And I could tell Terry didn't want to be the pusher so much, so I was just fine getting squared up and locked on his bumper. And I also got to save fuel that way. And unfortunately, toward the end, whenever I was going to have an extra lap, or the end of the first stint rather, I was going to have an extra lap of fuel, and a little miscommunication there, and had a little wreck. But thankfully for fast repairs, and we didn't get delayed too much.
Yeah, that couldn't really come at a better spot with it being right there on your pit-in lap, right at the pit entry. So certainly got away with one there. Again, a very clean race for the most part. I mean, didn't really make any mistakes. We're coming into Hockenheim next week, which the historic Le Mans is definitely unique in its long straights. What's going to be different about the preparation you have going into Hockenheim next week?
Well, I won't be able to just pull the file cabinet with muscle memory so much like I can with Le Mans. So I have to put a little more time in just to kind of refresh myself on the turns there, and hopefully not cross the finish line in reverse like I did in this one.
Yeah, that was a bit of a fun little show for the very end. Again, a wonderful race, podium on the first. Great to have you back racing again, and not just relegated to a scoreless legend. So we hope to see you in the podium or in the booth again soon with another podium. And good luck next week at Hockenheim.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll be there. My kickball game is at 6:30, so I'll be rushing to get here and get on. So I'll be looking
Awesome.
forward to it.
Looking forward to it, Nick. Have a good night. That was Nick Terrell, second place finisher. Now we're going to bring in Tyler Langenberg, finishing first in the LMP2 class. Tyler, getting me in the booth.
Hello.
I mean, with that race right there, I don't think there's any sort of negative bit that we can pull from that. I mean, you had everything. You had the pace, you had the consistency, you had even the fuel management. I mean, how were you able to? Obviously, those guys working together, they were literally bump drafting, trying to catch up to you. We're able to catch up to you on the straights. How were you able to pull away so far, especially in that last sector in like the Porsche curves?
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised. I'm kind of surprised myself that I checked out there.
So you didn't
Yeah,
think coming into this race that you'd be a dominant first like you were there?
honestly, no. What I was expecting was like, all right, I'll qualify top 5, just ride behind him the whole time. Oh, I'm on pole. Well, and then on the first straight, I just had Nick pushing me, so I'm just like, oh, we're doing this strat now. All right, and then first stint I wasn't able to get the extra lap, but then the second stint I was able to get that extra lap. Not that it was important, but it would help in the last stint where I wouldn't have to push. It was a tight fuel run, so yeah.
Obviously, introduction to the LMP2 with this, with this track, it's very long, so it can help a little bit with the congestion. But what was your experience with dealing with, lapping the GTD AM and GTD Pro classes?
I think it was relatively okay. I mean, I had a couple instances where like I got held up in a couple places, but that's multi-class racing, so whatever. Yeah, I just yeah.
The other question with this being a brand new car to the obviously the GT3s have a couple updates from last time we ran, but with this being a new car to the series, what kind of tire wear are you getting over a full fuel stint there?
I think I lost probably right around 30% per stint, but with the fuel and tires being at the same time now, it just you don't have to extend those tires all the way out.
Yeah, and then is the are the cold tires a big issue on that car so far?
Not necessarily. Maybe in a colder track, colder tires, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, I think it's all right.
Well, you had 2 wins on the season last season that we raced. Already have one with this shorter 9-week season. So with only 2 drops, pretty valuable to have such an impressive performance off the bat. We're looking forward to seeing you on the top step again, Hockenheim next week. Different challenge, but I think we know that you're going to be up there in the competition. So good luck with the rest of the season. And again, a fantastic win today.
Yep, 10-4. Thanks for the broadcast.
Very much. Have a good night, Tyler.
You too.
That was Tyler Langenberg, race winner for the brand new LMP2 class. We do not have Christopher Craig in the booth, so I'm going to bring in our race winner, Keith Roycroft. Keith, getting me in the booth? Getting me up here, Keith?
Yeah, I'm here.
Ah, there we are. A great race win. I don't even know if we really saw any mistakes made. The first time that we've ever had a GTD AM driver, qualify so high, but you backed that up with the race pace, and just the consistency throughout that whole race. So, where were you able to find that pace that pretty much the rest of the field wasn't able to have outside of Christopher Craig?
It was a good fight for a long while with Christopher. He put up a great race. Um, I just practiced, practice.
With the qualifying, you were able to get your fastest lap on your first lap, with the other 3 being disqualified. So even more impressive to do that time on just a single lap. What with it being such a long race, you're obviously dealing, like you said, with Christopher Craig. Had a great battle with him throughout the whole first half of that race. And then, what was your experience with those LMP2s coming up on you, despite it being a really long track?
My experience was everything was really clean. They were very patient when they caught us in the turns. There was a couple instances where it was pretty close, but I think that was probably more my fault. Um, just kind of like side drafting them a little bit too much, but no contact. Everything was clean on my end.
Obviously, not the pole position not foreign to you. You had 4 poles in the GTDM class last season, already putting one down for this season. Next week we have Hockenheim, certainly a little different than the historic Le Mans, but is that a track that you think that you'll be equally as strong at?
To put it truthfully, probably not, but I should be up there. Um, we ran it a few seasons ago, and I did pretty decent. Hopefully, I can improve upon it.
It was a massive field tonight for GTDM, so even more impressive to come out with a win on the start of the season. So we will be expecting some more great performances, some more podiums from you. I do have to ask, is the thing on your windscreen, are those numbers supposed to be there? Me and Tom were a little confused that your livery's got numbers on the windscreen.
Um, so I am a big racing greyhound supporter. I actually own a racing greyhound. She's currently in Florida. She will come up to West Virginia in the near future and start racing. Um, that's kind of the inspiration for my livery, which is still a work in progress. I've been working on it the last couple days. As far as the numbers, those are starting box numbers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when they put the dogs in the box, um, each dog has a coat with a number on it, and the starting box has the number on the front.
Well, that's an awesome personal touch. Learn something every day. So excited to see some more of that on the car in these post-race victory clips. So good luck next week at Hockenheim and with the rest of the season.
Yep. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Have a good night, Keith.
You too.
That was our race winner for GTD AM. Again, unfortunately, Christopher Craig not in the Discord right now, but congratulations to him as well for second place, where he had no podiums last season, or no podiums last season. So already fantastic start to the season for him as well.
Yes, indeed. That was quite the race we had here tonight, and I'm excited for about 8 more of those in the coming weeks.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. It was super clean.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up our race here tonight and the Endurance for Amateur series, and we will see you.
Thanks again to Alien Awards for sponsoring this series. We really appreciate it, and it's always fun to watch.
Yes, exactly what you just said. Couldn't have said it better. So, in 1 week, I guess 6 days and 22 hours, we will see you guys here one more time. Well, another time. All right. Good night, everybody.